My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask you for pardon my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. You may have heard the story of a man who was walking one day through the streets of his hometown when he saw something that made a big impact on him. There was this little girl, about 8 years old, begging for money. She was dirty, in rags, and visibly skinny and hungry. The man was so moved that he stopped, put his hand in his pocket, and took out some coins for the girl. She thanked him with a captivating smile and walked away. The man stood there for a while, looking at the little girl walking away. He was frozen to the spot, still spellbound by that sight, thinking. And then all his feelings broke into a prayer. Not the classic prayer that you may be thinking about. It was in fact a complaint to heaven. Why? Why, God? Why do you allow these things to happen? Why was there such an innocent girl begging in the streets like that, hungry? He was asking God, why? Why, Lord, didn't you do something about this? And then God gave him an answer, as God does, not with audible words, but with an inspiration that came right into the heart of this man. As soon as he asked, why, Lord, don't you do something about this? The man heard the answer of God in his heart. But I am doing something. I put you there. Lord, I need to ask you in this time of prayer that I may never forget that you need me to act on other people. To meditate on this simple idea. I don't know if you have ever thought about this. I do very often. The idea is this. I am the answer to other people's prayers. Have you ever considered that? I am the answer to other people's prayers. You see, the gospel we find in Mass today is one of those we have read many times, the multiplication of loaves and fish. In the previous verses, we read that Jesus told his disciples, "Come away by yourselves to a lonely place and rest a while." For there were so many people with them all the time that they just needed a break. So we read, they went away in the boat to a lonely place by themselves. They crossed to the other side of the lake, trying to get a bit of peace. The apostles probably thanked Jesus for that. They really needed that break. But when they reached the other side, they found that the crowds had already walked there and were waiting for them. Can you imagine the faces of the apostles when they realized that the break was already over and it had only lasted as long as the trip across the lake? And then we read that Jesus had compassion on them and started teaching them. And we don't hear any complaint from the apostles. They heard Jesus preaching once more, and that was the rest. Now, the point I wanted to focus on today is about what comes next. We always tend to think that the apostles were a band of fishermen who seldom did or said the right things. But that is not true. You see, after Jesus had been preaching for a while, it was getting late. So they came to Jesus and said to him that these people had been with him all day, and they had walked a great distance along the shore. They were hungry, tired, and they really needed something to eat. This is the catch. It was they, the apostles, who pointed out that people needed a break and some food. Many times we miss this point. We think that the apostles probably wanted to get rid of the people so that they could be alone. But that's not what we read. They saw their needs and they interceded for them. Here is a question to which I really have no answer. See what you think. Would Jesus have performed the miracle had the disciples not pointed this out? It is not an easy question. Would Jesus have multiplied the loaves and fish if the apostles had not come to him and interceded on behalf of the people? You see, almost all of Jesus' miracles are preceded by a prayer, an action, someone coming to him. There are few exceptions when Jesus acts without being asked, like the resurrection of the son of the widow in Naim or that of Lazarus. But most of the miracles of Jesus happened when someone asked him to do something. Jesus didn't go into the towns of Judea knocking on doors and volunteering to heal all the people in each house. He waited and people came to him. They asked him to tend to their needs. Would Jesus have healed the lepers or the blind people if they hadn't asked for it? We don't know what would have happened. But we do know that Jesus was glad to see that his disciples came to him worried about the crowd. So the apostles came to you, Jesus, to suggest you send the crowds away to buy some food. And then you just said to them, you give them something to eat. They have no need to go anywhere. You give them something to eat. The apostles didn't know what to do. Shall we go and buy bread for 5,000 people? And you ask them, how many loaves have you? Go and see. And they obeyed. They went and checked. And when they had found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. We remember well what happened. Jesus took the bread and fish, gave them to the disciples, and the disciples distributed them amongst the crowd. Those 5,000 people ate all they wanted, and they still filled 12 baskets full of scraps. Now, let's consider this. You, Jesus, didn't need help. You could have performed the miracle by yourself. In the same way you multiply loaves and fish, you could have asked angels to distribute them, or seagulls for that matter. You could have just removed the feeling of hunger from the crowd, or instilled in them some mysterious energy. You, Lord, could do anything. But you asked your disciples to feed the crowd and eventually gave them food to satisfy their hunger. In the end, they did feed the crowd. At the beginning of this new calendar year, this meditation can help us consider today that, like the man in the story, you, Lord, have put me here where I am. And I am surrounded by people who need help. Will you, Jesus, help them if I don't intercede for them with my prayers like the apostles did? And you ask me today, you give them something to eat. Will you feed them, Jesus, if I don't help you to distribute the graces you share with me? So, for this year that I begin now, I need to ask you, Lord, to be like your apostles, ready to spot the needs of other people around me, ready to intercede for those I see in need, ready to distribute the graces that you give me for them. I am the answer to the prayers of many. I need to be like Mary, my Mother Immaculate. Like the day when you, Mother, at the wedding feast at Cana, saw the needs of the spouses and went to Jesus to intercede for them. Maybe this year 2020 can be the year when I pray more for others and I help others much more. I give you thanks, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask you for help to put them into effect. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.